the price. No time to waste. Whoa, we will overcome.
Hey, I'm Nathan Oliet, Community Services Director for the City of Maricopa, and I'm here today at the first ever in the state of Arizona fitness court that was really brought to you in part, largely in part, by Global Water through one of their sponsorships. And we're just here today to talk about what an incredible thing it was that Global Water decided to do 3 years ago.
It's through sponsorships, especially with Global Water and their significant contribution, that we're able to really expand on the entertainment side of things and also on activities that are available. We've expanded from 3 signature events to 5. We added the Copa Glow, which is the hot air balloon festival. And also, we have an event that is coming up in just a few weeks, our multicultural event. And for example, we are able, based upon the generosity of Global Water and their sponsorship, we're able to bring in some entertainment acts. We've got Polynesian dancers lined up. We're working on some Congo and steel drum performances. So it's those types of things that those extra dollars help to not only expand the events, but bring more events and bring entertainment to those events.
We are the first city to have a recreational esports program. We won the 2020 Arizona Parks and Recs Association Award for Best Sports Program. Global Water's contribution to give us the funds to start this program, which we have over 400 unique players that have enrolled in the program so far. It also allowed us to switch to an online platform once the pandemic hit. So we were able, about 120 people signed up online, and they were able to participate in our online programming, and it was awesome. If there was a timing to prove the value of this program and the versatility, it was then. The pandemic hits, the coaches already were like, let's just switch it online. Within the next weekend, everybody else was locking down. We had 22 people in our tournament. It's a way for kids that are good at video games to be competitive at something they're good at, to meet friends with the same interest. I didn't meet any friends that played video games, but now you can, and you can build those lasting relationships thanks to a program like this.
Rec in the Greenbelt is a Parks and Recreation trailer on wheels. Has an esports component, but also has a bunch of different Parks and Recreation games, up from Connect 4 to Frisbee toss. We have golf. We just have a bunch of different things offered in that. I do believe Rec in the Greenbelt did a great job connecting the community. We not only provided it here, but we connected with Maricopa Unified School District and our charters by providing this trailer at their schools and interacting with their students as well. Ever since we started the program about 2 years ago, I would have to say we had about 1,000 plus participants participate. Global Water was a huge contribution to UT and enrichment programs, and they helped us out a lot.
Maricopa's Safe in the Swim program provided free swim lessons for 197 kids. And what was cool about this program, as we tracked the progress, we realized about 90% of them did not know how to swim, and the time they were done, they were safer in the water. They can float, they can do some swimming, they could jump in the water, self-rescue themselves, get out of the water. This allowed opportunity for kids that not normally would be able to get to the pool to do swim lessons and things like that.
So today we're at Pecana Park, but we're actually standing here at the fitness court today, which is a national fitness campaign where they try to implement outdoor fitness courts in different areas to bring fitness closer to communities. Fitness really shut down during the pandemic. For us to be able to continue to provide fitness activities to the community was huge. We definitely could not have done the fitness court without Global Water. It obviously gets really hot here in the summer, and Global Water, they directly contributed to the shade structure here of the fitness court. Now it's utilized 365 days a year. Also, the lovely decals that we have all around the fitness court as well was a direct contribution from Global Water. We could not have done any of that without them.
On our wall here, we have different sizes of stars that represent different amounts of donations, and Global Water is our largest star, our largest donor. Your contribution to the library here has allowed me to continue to do what I love to do, and it also helps us to enhance our programs by expanding the opportunities for more people to participate, having more staff involved in these programs or volunteers. and this allows us to reach more of our community. It makes you feel good when you hear this pleasant buzz in the library. It just makes me feel good to know that we do have people that are utilizing and gaining some type of skill or furthering their reading. Thank you, Global Water, for all that you've done to help support the library and our community, and we look forward to future opportunities with you.
Thank you guys, Global Water. We could not have done this fitness court without you. The city of Maricopa thanks you, and the community definitely thanks you as well.
Thank you, Global Water. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you, Global Water. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you, Global Water. We couldn't have done it without you.
None of this would have been possible. None of these programs would have been possible without the support of Global Water and without their vision to want to do something in our community. So I'm super grateful. I know all of the participants that have been impacted by these programs and events are grateful for that opportunity, even if they don't even know Global Water's role in it. So thank you, Global Water, and we look forward to continued partnership with our community.
This is my friend. I love painting. That's my favorite medium. I gravitate towards them. I love paintings. I don't care what type it is. I like to look at them really close up, and it kind of drives people at the museum nuts because I'm the one with her face practically in the painting, but I love to see how they manipulated the brushstrokes and what the two colors are they mix together that make, you know, that flow and, you know, is there texture to it. It started way back when I started painting on rocks. You know, rocks are easy to find. They're free, you know, and I remember my mom and I would go down some riverbeds and we'd pick some out and I'd wash them and clean them. And there was a book that was like Painting on Rocks Volume 1. I was all about it. I got 2 and 3 and 4. And that's where the painting started. One of the things I enjoy the most is thinking you can't do something. Something's gonna be too difficult. Can I make that? And then just trying and working at it. And when you do it, it's, I don't know, it's uplifting and it's exciting and you feel strong and powerful and capable. And for me, there was just always that kind of tactile ability, but it wasn't always good. And it's something you just have to work at, and the more you work at it, you get better. Honestly, whenever I would see some type of public artwork, I would always think that I'm not the artist for that. I'm not good enough. I'm an okay artist. I'm pretty decent, but I'm not that kind of artist. You know, I could never do something like that. So when it came up, I thought, well, why can't I be that kind of artist? I push my kids every day and I tell them, you can do these things and you have power and you have the talent. You never know if you don't try. And since I lost my mom, my kind of goal is to live your life with as few regrets as possible. So I did it too. I told them about this project and I said, I'll give you extra credit if you do it. I'll give you even more extra credit if you get picked. And they said, well, where's yours? Let me show you.
Come on, rider, 'cause I long to talk to you. Come on, rider, 'cause your face are carved in blue.
I want you to make sure you know all of these horses were designed and painted by local artists. I don't know if you're aware of how spectacular our local artistry in many different facets. It's amazing what we have in here in the city of Maricopa, and this is just the beginning of a spectacular art community. So I'm really glad for all of you to be here and share this with us.
My reference images are all images I took at the Desert Botanical Gardens, and I want it to look kind of photorealistic, but also have a kind of paint by numbers quality to it. And I went and chose specific paint colors that I knew would be the perfect color I would want or would mix together to make the perfect colors I would want and to give me a different variation. So there's a lot of technical aspect thinking about what the base materials are that you need to end up getting your end result. So there's a lot of thinking. There's also, all right, how much space, how much surface area will this take up?
Hello, Maricopa. It's me, Sergeant Hal Kuger. I'm here with my friend Maria Johnson, the Crisis Director from Horizon Health and Wellness here in Pinal County. Thank you so much for joining me. We're here today to talk about a new program called 988. Maria, what is 988?
988, this is a 3-digit crisis line number. It is access to the National Crisis Line, which is currently 1-800-273-TALK. This is an additional number, 3-digit number, easy to remember to access mental health support, where you can call, speak with a trained crisis professional if you're experiencing a mental health emergency, if there's emotional distress, substance use issues. It also has veteran services available, and it'll prompt you to access that. So this is a new 3-digit easy to remember number to access that support.
988, I think I could remember that. Does it replace 911?
No, it's essentially parallel to 911. 911, if there is in fact a life-threatening emergency or concern, still utilized, but this is in addition to it where there's a mental health issue and that you want to have a mental health professional support. Also where it can be assessed and determined if a mobile team needs to be called out to your home to assist you and assess further need.
Great. And are they available 24/7?
Available 24/7, and it's free and confidential.
Perfect, perfect. And there are different ways to reach 988, right?
Yes, 988, or you can text 988, and there is also the online chat feature, which is 988lifeline.org.
Wonderful. Maria, thank you so much for joining us today. The 988 number is a brand new number that is going to save lives and help you and your friends and family through crisis. Thank you for joining us today. Maria, thank you for coming and being here and joining us, and we'll catch you later. Thank you.
Your communications coordinator for the City of Maricopa. I'm joined with Nathan Steele, the director of our Economic Development Department, and we're here at Sonoran Creek Marketplace, where the options here are getting a little sweeter with the opening of Crumble Cookie here in the City of Maricopa. So thank you for joining us, Nathan. Tell us what goes into the back end. Some of our people might not know how to get one of these popular franchises here in our community.
Yeah, well, all of this is years in the making, frankly, and not just with Crumble, but when you look at all of the tenants that are coming to Sonoran Creek and across the entire city, all of it is years in the making that starts with the landowners, the property owners, the developers, as well as all of the city planners and economic development professionals getting together to make these deals work, make these packages work. When it comes to individual tenants like Crumble, like Mod, like Jimmy John's, like ATI, and all the others here in Sonoran Creek, they're looking at the overall growth of the city. They love seeing the new homes. They love seeing the apartments. They want that diversity of housing because they know that's what's going to produce the workforce housing that they need. Everyone is always asking me, and as part of my job, I'm talking to developers and retailers on a daily basis. And one of the questions these groups are always asking me is, where are my employees going to live? And they love seeing that we're building new homes, building new rooftops daily. All right, and that's what's bringing these businesses in. And I'll tell you, it's not going to stop with these. There's more and more talks we're having, more and more users coming. That's super exciting. If we look at more of Sonoran Creek, this is just some of the more and more ones that are going to be coming. Take a look at Sprouts. You see all of those inline shops with a restaurant on the end cap, and Marshall's is going to be on the other end cap. And then just as this building over here that has Mod Pizza, Crumble, Jimmy John's, and ATI has multiple tenants, this other building under construction is another multi-tenant building where you can expect several more shops to join the Maricopa family.
Wow, that's an incredibly expansive addition to our community. It's a very exciting time to be a resident of Maricopa. Hey, for more information on what's new and coming here in your community, check out what'snewmaricopa.com.
Two-year-old Mia Preston is the picture of unbridled joy.
Oh, that's pretty. It's so pretty. Swimming.
This picture shows Mia gliding with an ear-to-ear grin during her first swim lesson. It's an image Mia's mother can cherish forever, especially when she compares it against the one taken just 43 days earlier.
They say it takes 21 seconds for a child to go unconscious in the water.
For Mia, those seconds of misfortune happened while her family was on vacation. She was playing with her siblings when, in a moment of distraction, Mia slipped out a back door and fell into the pool.
She basically drowned. My husband had to pull her out of the pool and administered CPR.
Mia's father continued that CPR for over 20 minutes until paramedics arrived and got Mia's heart beating again on its own. But Mia's battle was just beginning. She would spend 9 days in the ICU, 9 days during which
We're going to call this meeting to order. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the regular City Council meeting of November 1, 2022. We're calling the meeting to order, and we're going to have a wonderful flag presentation by the Maricopa High School ROTC program in honor of the upcoming Veterans Day. It'll be followed by, we're going to reverse the order, Pledge of Allegiance, and then the invocation by Pastor Drew Anderson. Our Pledge of Allegiance will come from Councilmember Learman. So I'll rise if you're able to, please. Thank you. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And is Pastor Drew Anderson here? All right, then we'll just take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. And thank you, Maricopa High School ROTC. All right, you may be seated. Thank you, Councilmember Lehrman. We appreciate that. And that takes us to roll call.
Councilmember Gettle.
Present.
Councilmember Lehrman.
Here.
Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Vidiello. Councilmember Wade.
Here.
Vice Mayor Manfredi.
Here.
Madam Mayor.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. That'll take us to the proclamations section of the agenda. And we have 3 wonderful proclamations this evening. I'll come down and we'll call them up separately. So the first group I'd like to call up, will stay in theme, are the Veterans Parade Committee, honoring our veterans and wanting to have a proclamation for that. Come right up to the front. Any other veterans that would like to join them? Please join them. We'd love to recognize you as well. Let's go. Wonderful, wonderful. We're so proud of all of you. So thank you for being here tonight. Whereas the willingness of America's veterans to serve our country has earned them our lasting gratitude, and whereas Veterans Day continues to be celebrated and commemorated with solemn observances in honor of all Americans who have served their country in times of war and conflict, and whereas Veterans Day has become a significant part of our American heritage as we recognize the millions of our citizens whose military services has had a profound effect on history, and whereas through the generations their sacrifices have preserved our unique form of government dedicated to human rights and the respect for the individual, and whereas in honor of these dedicated men and women, we pledge continued defense of our nation so that their sacrifice will stand before the entire world as a tribute to the spirit and determination of people dedicated to the principles of freedom and democracy. And whereas the courage, honor, sacrifice, and dedication which veterans of the United States Armed Forces have displayed in the cause of justice, freedom, and democracy are most worthy of recognition. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Smith, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby recognize November 11, 2017 as Veterans Day in the City of Maricopa and urge all citizens to recognize the valor and sacrifice of our veterans and to remember that freedom is not free, and these are the men and women who paid for the freedom all of us enjoy today. Let's give them a round of applause.
Hi, good evening. On behalf of the Veterans Day Parade, the committee would like to thank the city for all the support and the planning of this event. And we are inviting the community to come over this Saturday at 9 in the morning. We're going to be celebrating all our veterans for all their sacrifice that they have done for us. So hopefully we can see you there and show them appreciation for all the sacrifices. Thank you.
All right. All right, our next item is a proclamation, and we'd like to bring up Mary and the Alzheimer's Association. Whereas the City of Maricopa recognizes the importance of Alzheimer's and related dementia care, and whereas Alzheimer's and related dementias have a significant impact on the health and well-being of our residents. Whereas more than 150,000 Arizonans live with Alzheimer's, which is the 4th leading cause of death in the state. And whereas more than 257,000 Arizonans provide 501 million hours in unpaid care to their loved ones living with dementia. And whereas Arizonans are actively engaged in educating about the disease, advocating for a proper continuum of care, and improving the training and care of patients with Alzheimer's disease and related dementias, and whereas the City of Maricopa supports an Arizona without Alzheimer's addressing this public health crisis. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Smith, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2022 as Alzheimer's and Caregiver Month in the City of Maricopa, and encourage all of our residents to learn about Alzheimer's related dementias and patient care. Let's give them a round.
She said, would you like to speak? And she made me cry. I just want to thank our council members and our mayor and the City of Maricopa. For many who don't know, this is our 2nd year doing this. Last year we started it, and Maricopa was actually the one who got the ball rolling for other cities in Arizona to get this started for Alzheimer's. So this year it's grown, and even more cities are doing this. So thank you, Maricopa, for once again being the initiator. It's important to acknowledge our family caregivers, especially in our community. We need more services. Family caregivers, if you know any, please acknowledge them. Take them a meal. They're not going to ask for help, but they need help. Offer them coffee. If you see them in the stores, many don't know, sometimes going to the store alone is a break. If you see a family caregiver that you know in the store, give them a hug. They need it. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you. I forgot to say thank you to the Arizona East Valley Mustangs Club for bringing out our wonderful tribute cars in the front. If you haven't seen them, you saw them. They're here, so thank you. They're beautiful. Thank you.
All right, this next group might be a really large group. I look around the room and I see lots of artists. And so we'd like to call up 2 entities and all of their members and any artists that are in the room, the Maricopa Art Council and also Maricopa Friends of the Arts. Are artists really that shy? No one wants to come to the front. All right, whereas the arts and humanities embody much of the accumulated wisdom, intellect, and imagination of humankind, and whereas the arts and humanities enhance and enrich the lives of every American, and whereas the arts and humanities play a unique role in the lives of our families, our communities, and our country, and whereas the arts nourish human development and that artistic expression of all kinds connects and strengthens our city, and whereas the arts enhance the city's reputation and can be an effective catalyst for economic development. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Smith, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim support for all artists, art organizations, and art and cultural events in the City of Maricopa, and call upon our citizens to celebrate and promote the arts and humanities in our nation, and to specifically encourage the greater participation by those said citizens in taking action for arts and humanities in our community. Let's give them a hand.
Speaking on behalf of Maricopa Arts Council, I'm one of the co-founders of that group, Judith Zamont. I have with me today at least 2 more of the 6 current co-directors of Maricopa Arts Council: Cowie Wilson, visual artist; David Vargas, theater professional; and I am a composer. We've been doing what we do for a dozen years or more in this city, and it is magnificent to have this vote of confidence from Mayor Smith and our colleagues on the City Council, many of whom have stepped forward as individuals to attend and support arts events in this city over the years. Let me leave you with a couple of enticements. This Saturday night is Maricopa Arts Council's free admission All-Maricopa Poetry Slam Championship at Honeycut Coffee. Come on down, you don't have to pay to get in, and it's a rousing evening. It will be preceded by an Art on the Spot Prelude, a painting created before your eyes by distinguished Maricopa visual artist Susan Cameron. Susan, wave. 2 more brief enticements and then I'm gone. Coming up later this month will be the announcement of the online abstract art competition. Money prizes for this, as there are money prizes for the Slam competitor winners. This will be the 3rd year in a row that Maricopa Arts Council has produced an online abstract art contest, and we are very grateful that the event this year has been supported by a seed money grant from Maricopa Friends of the Arts. So we are, every agency is doing its bit. Later on in December, hold the date December 10th. It is going to be the winter holiday concert of Maricopa Music Circle Chamber Orchestra and Maricopa Madrigal Singers coming together to entertain you with music for the winter holidays. Thank you very much. Lots more to come in 2023.
Everything Judith just said. No, I'm kidding. You know, when I first moved here to Maricopa 13 years ago, and I was so inspired by the beautiful area around the city, and I started with the Maricopa Arts Council with Judith, and over, geez, how many years has that been now? 8, 9? But we have watched the artists just come out and be confident, and we support them and give them places to show their artwork and do fundraisers, and it's just amazing. Okay, I'm getting a little, But thank you, Mayor Smith. This is wonderful. I'm so excited for all of us. What?
Let us applaud the mayor and the city.
have to go in the next zip code. Yeah.
Initiative art program.
Right.
And also, Vincent Manfredi and City Council worked very hard behind the scenes in creating funding and programs. There's a 10% initiative tax program to support public arts.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yay.
Should I have the same proclamation from 2013 from there?
Fair. That's fair. I'll take it. Thank you.
It's an antique, yeah.
All right, that was fun. We'll take us to the, let's see, the report from the mayor and council. And so, council, I'll turn it over to you. Yes, Councilmember Marsh.
Happy Veterans Month. On the 19th of October, I participated in the State of the City. And Christian Price is a hard act to follow, but I think Nancy did a great job. And you may have noticed on the video, I revealed my backup career as a heavy equipment operator. Driving a front loader was really fun, by the way. On the 20th, I attended the Desert Sunrise High School Commons preview and tour, and I was amazed at what they've done out there in 18 months since we broke ground. If you haven't visited Desert Sunrise, give it a go. On the 21st, we had a lunch and learn. It was fully packed, featuring health insurance for seniors and 3 $25 door prizes. That's the new standard, $25 door prizes. So you can lunch and learn and win. On the 22nd, Saturday, at the Heritage Park, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Historical Society Museum. And that's an amazing museum that tells the story of Maricopa from its early roots up to the present. And I'm sure they're going to archive and document the future years going forward. But if you haven't been to the museum, give it a go. On the 24th, I went to Banner Desert Hospital and had a procedure on my heart. I'm getting fixed. On the 27th, we had a Pinal County Board of Adjustment meeting, and in the library here, we had a meeting with a presentation on Proposition 469. And if you don't know about 469, then you probably don't drive the 347. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gatto? Okay. Let's go over to Councilmember Learman.
This weekend is an exciting weekend, and I just want to invite you all out to the Veterans Parade. It's at 9 o'clock, starting over by Central Arizona College, and it's going to be amazing. I hope you all can make it, and it'll be a beautiful, beautiful day. We also, the same day, have Maricopa Relay for Life. It's a party in the park theme at Copper Sky, and it's from 1 o'clock p.m. until 8 o'clock p.m. So come on out and enjoy a beautiful day supporting our survivors.
Thank you. Councilmember Vitiello?
I'd just like to thank the City of Maricopa staff for doing a great job. We had our 6th annual Izzy softball tournament. Izzy is a correction officer for Pinal County, and that was a devastating accident 7 years ago that he is left in a coma. And we do this to help his family every single year, and the community comes together. And every year we try to beat our year before. So the last number from last year was roughly 13.5, and this year I think we raised almost $17,000. That every single dime goes to his family and help his family. So everybody who showed up and came and donated, but also the city for doing what they did. Thank you for taking care of us and helping us get through this. I'd like to thank Fire and PD also for taking care of us and helping us out, showing up. So again, this is a community that I love serving because this city and the community loves to give back when people are in need. So thank you, Maricopa.
Hello, Maricopa. It's good to see you so fully in the house today. It's very reassuring to know that you are participating because we are participating as well on our behalf. I just want to make sure that it's recognized, and I'm sure you can't forget because you see it on the TV, you see it when you drive down the 347, see it all over the place, that we are in the voting season. Next Tuesday is an opportunity for you to cast your vote, regardless of what you vote for or how you vote. It is your opportunity to have your word heard, have your voices be heard. So please, today is the last day to turn in, was the last day to turn in if you were voting by mail. So now you have to drop your mail ballots off at the polls, but make sure you do just that. Because as you come here today and reflect your support of other organizations within the city, you support us as well when you cast your vote because that's how we got here. So thank you very much. Appreciate you, Maricopa.
Vice Mayor Manfredi.
Just to piggyback a little bit on what Henry said about voting, today was the last day to mail them in. You can drop them off at the polls on Election Day, but it's also important, you can also take them over to the courthouse area over there, the county building, and there's a drop box there. You can drop them in there 24/7. You can get your stuff. Please vote. It's really important. I'm not going to tell you how to vote on Prop 469. I'm not even going to tell you how I'm going to vote on Prop 469, but I want some extra lanes in the city of Maricopa. Oh, that has nothing to do with Prop 469, right? But I would like some outside the city, and if that has something to do with it, that'd be nice. You know, we have a person here that does so much in our community, and today is her birthday. So I'd like to, you know, just say happy birthday to Brandy, who's sitting in the back over there somewhere, and just say happy birthday, Brandy. Thank you so much for all you do. The Veterans Parade that's coming up on Saturday, please get there early, park and enjoy it. Get there early and don't just arrive last minute and rush up there. Make your way over, talk to the veterans, talk to the people walking in the parade and appreciate the fact that they're there, that we're here because they did what they did. So it's important that the service that they provided to this country is celebrated, and the parade just gets bigger and bigger every year, and I hope one day it just marches straight down Honeycutt, the entire city limits. Other than that, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, so I'll just touch lightly on the state of the city since it was touched on previously. I want you to know that if you didn't have the opportunity to attend or watch it that night, it is available by video online, and so what you get to see is my interpretation as the city manager as Hulk. It was pretty funny. I surprised him with that. But what you also get to see is a lot of good information on what has occurred in the last 12 months of this city, what has been accomplished, and then what, looking forward, are we looking to in terms of accomplishments for the next 12 months. And if you're not aware, next year in October 15th, we will be 20 years old. So next year's State of the City will be a party like you've never seen. I'm not sure exactly what that means yet, but I'm just like, you know, proclaiming it. But take a look at the video, lots of really good information. I also want to thank my city council members because they all participated in the State of the City by doing fascinating videos. You will love every one of their videos. They're informative, but they're fun as well. And so that's another reason, and thank you, City Council, for partaking in that. And then the staff that helped us put that together. They were magnificent. We worked on it for about the 2 months prior, since I had been appointed, and once a week we got together and they were phenomenal. They made it actually a very easy project for me, so thank you very much to the staff.
I also attended the Desert Sunrise High School unveiling, so to speak, of the construction that's going on there. You guys, if I was going to go to high school, I might have to go to that school. It's pretty cool. But they're building this community room, which is quite large, and it also has a theater pit in the community room that can be visualized from inside and outside at the same time. So theater in the round, debates, all that type of stuff. People sitting in the outside, people sitting in the inside. Fascinating. I think it's going to be a great asset. I also attended the CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team graduation. I bring this up because not only was it great that we had approximately 6 graduates, but their goal, the CERT team goal, is to make sure that they would like 100% of the citizens in Maricopa to understand what the emergency response process looks like and how they can help. We all can contribute by knowing just a few key pieces of information. So if you're interested in that, the CERT program is ongoing, but I was really proud of these graduates. And then lastly, the Heritage Museum and Visitor Center. If you haven't been there, you got to go visit it. Fascinating. It gives you a wonderful history of the city of Maricopa, and it's going to be changing either monthly, quarterly. They have so many artifacts that they can refresh it quite often so that it just keeps you coming back. And if you have people who are interested in information for the city of Maricopa, it's a visitor center as well. So fascinating, very, very awesome, and it's beautiful. That park is going to be beautiful when it's done. So it's over at the Heritage Park, which previously was called Rotary Park. Go check it out. I encourage you to do that. And then I won't plug the PRTA anymore. Oh wait, I just did that. Sorry. But Prop 469. Make sure you know the facts. These are out there in the center out there for them. Yeah, thank you. And it has all the facts that you want to know and how it impacts the city of Maricopa. Very important. Tuesday is your last chance. All right. That'll be the last time I bring that up. Okay, that'll take us to the report from the city manager.
Mayor, I have nothing to report tonight, but I understand one of the items will be pulled off the consent, and I'd like to address that at the appropriate time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, that takes us to the call to the public. At this time, I'll go ahead and read the call to the public just so we all understand how it works. The procedures to follow if you address the council are council requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about the city employee, a fellow citizen, or anyone else, whether they are in the audience or not. The mayor will limit discussion whenever they deem such an action is appropriate to proper conduct of this meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review a matter, and may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take legal action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. So tonight I have 2 speaker cards, and then after that I will open it up to the general public if you wish to approach the podium. You'll have 3 minutes, state your name and your approximate address. And the first person I will call up is Peg Chapados.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Maricopans. Here tonight wearing 2 different hats to talk about 2 important events that are coming up in our city. The first one is Saturday, November 19th. This will be one of the annual book sale events for the Maricopa Friends of the Library. It's also our membership drive. If you want to become a new member, that's the time to do it. If you are currently a member, we'd like you to renew for next year. We have a lot of different specials, so if you're looking for that great stocking stuffer or that special gift for somebody, give them the gift of reading or coloring or puzzles or entertainment. We've got videos, audiobooks, all kinds of different books, fiction, nonfiction, you name it, you'll see it there. It's Saturday at the library from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The following Saturday, we're going to be holding the second annual Maricopa Main Street Marketplace. It is a arts and crafts show featuring a lot of local Maricopa artisans. It's at Leading Edge Academy on Porter. That will be 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's free to attend. We've got some great new artisans this year. A lot of them are in this room tonight. All kinds of different arts. So please come and check us out. And again, you can maybe find that special gift for someone or a nice stocking stuffer, or just come out and support the arts community. Thank you.
Thank you, Peg Chapados. Our next speaker card is J.C. Vanderpool.
To the mayor, council, citizens of Maricopa, seen and unseen. I'm here to welcome you to the second annual Kwanzaa Affair that's going to be held at the Maricopa Library and Cultural Center. It is December 3rd, the first Saturday of December. You say, what is Kwanzaa? Why is it celebrated every year by millions of people all over America? Come find out. We will have a mock ceremony, live entertainment, food. Well, it's part of the harvest, so we'll talk about it then. It is a holiday that was started in America in 1966. It has been growing and going steady ever since. Come. Get ready, get ready. The holiday is actually between Christmas and New Year, but we're doing a mock holiday so that you could get ready, get ready. Kwanzaa is coming. Thank you.
What time?
2 o'clock, from 2 to 5. From 2 to 5. It's going to be exciting. I hope I gave you enough energy. It's going to be exciting. Come, come.
Thank you.
Questions?
That's all I have in terms of speaker cards. Would anyone else like to approach the podium and speak to the council at this time? Yes, come on up, Priscilla, and then we'll take the, Bill Robertson. Okay, yeah, have a seat, Bill. Oh, ladies first, Bill. Oh, she's going to be nice to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'd like to speak to you tonight
Name and
about...
location.
Bill Robertson, Maricopa resident.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak to you tonight about item 8.1, possible discussion and action on creation of teen court. I'm an adult volunteer with the teen court, and I encourage you to support this program. You've known what it's been about in the past when Pinal County was operating it. Now we have a chance here at the City of Maricopa to run it directly from our city. So we have a group of volunteers that's already been training and preparing to run this program. It's a great diversion program, keeps our young kids, gives them a second chance, referral from the SROs and the police department, give them a second chance at life. And they are, as you know, they are judged by their peers, and they're given consequences to complete it, and that keeps them out of the justice system. So I encourage you tonight to do the right thing, have your discussion, and take the right action. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and residence.
Hi, I'm Priscilla Banky from Be Awesome. I'm a local resident here in Maricopa, and I'm with... It is her birthday. We are local. We founded a local nonprofit that develops confident, connected, and successful youth through mentoring, education, and community programs. This year, we are serving kids at Maricopa Elementary School who fell behind during COVID and bringing them back up to baseline through an after-school tutoring camp. And we do a lot of family education and teen programming and things like that. And we are actually running our annual fundraiser, and we wanted to invite you all to participate. It's a 50-50 raffle. Tickets are $10 for one, $5 for 30, or 10 for 50. So the more you buy, the more you save. So feel free to come buy those from us. We're going to draw on the Monday before Thanksgiving, and the funds will be delivered the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. So right after, you can do all of your Black Friday and Cyber Monday shopping, and half will go to the kids. And we will have some secondary prizes as well that we look forward to handing out. And I'll be in the back. I will take cash, credit, or check. Or you can find us on the internet. Have a great day. Thanks.
Would anyone else like to approach the podium and speak to council? Seeing none, I will close the call to the public. That will move us to the consent agenda. At this time, we'll look at consent agenda items 7.1 and 7 through 7.12. However, we'll first have a discussion. Councilmember Marsh would like to pull item 7.5, which, as you heard previously, the city manager would like to discuss.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. So $12 million is a lot of money, but the city is not borrowing the money. We're not going to pay any interest on the money. We're not going to use any tax dollars or raise taxes for the money. It's actually coming out of city reserves that are in reserve for the purposes which I'm about to explain. But let's start with numbers. In this particular case, it adds up to $1.38 per square foot. Now, every piece of land in the city is between $4 and $18 a square foot presently. So I do want you to understand the value first. Secondly, I want you to understand that one of the things we hear the most, other than bring Trader Joe's and a few other things to town, is we'd like to have some significant jobs. So we have been working with the Greater Phoenix Economic Council and the Arizona Commerce Alliance and our own MEDA and city efforts to do that. And over the last 6 to 9 months, we've entertained a large number of national and international prospects who could bring anywhere from 200 to 500 jobs in the 60 to 80, sometimes 90,000 a year average. And we competed internationally and got down to the top 5, even the top 3. And we're talking about people who want to invest $200 million up to $1 billion of capital investment to grow a plant to house these jobs. What has hurt us is we don't have land. We don't have land. Because not only do you need the land, then you have to get water to it and sewer to it and gas to it and electric to it. And in this particular site, which is frankly right over here by the ethanol plant off of Maricopa Casa Grande Highway, there's also an added benefit. There's a 1-mile railroad spur, which provides opportunities, and I stress opportunities, for an inland port. Now, there's not much left in Maricopa County, and a lot of people are buying land out in Coolidge and other areas, but the workforce and frankly, the education is here. So we have this opportunity to purchase the land and understand ultimately we're going to turn around and sell the land. So we will recoup our money, and I suspect we might sell it for more than what we buy it for. I'm just suspect that. But more importantly, we will land jobs, capital investment, and create a better quality of life. Now, that may not be the obvious. Now, let me tell you what the obvious is. If you're not sure about it, it's the last feedlot in town. So we might get rid of the occasional aromas. If you're not aware, there are 60,000 cows over there. Now, this process will take about a year because they bring in the calves at about 300 pounds and they feed them up to 3,000 pounds before they send them out, and that's a process. So it'll be a process before we get there, but we have missed out on opportunities because we need land. And not only that, they say not only do we want to make a $200 or $400 million investment, we need land to grow. And if I can't have adjacent land where I can build the second phase, I'm not interested. So we feel this is important to our future. We're no tax dollars, no borrowing of money, no interest payments, and eventually we'll not only recoup the cost of the land back, but we'll get jobs, we'll get better incomes, which will grow our economy and help other local businesses and so forth as we go forward. that is the reason why it's been recommended that we move forward with this purchase.
Thank you, City Manager Horst. Councilmember Marsh, would you like to speak, or do you have additional questions?
No, my questions got answered, and I'd like to have it moved back onto the consent agenda.
Perfect. Any other council members have any questions on this item? Okay, so therefore we'll move item 7.5 back into the consent agenda items of 7.1 through 7.12. Do I have a motion? Moved by Councilmember Learman, seconded by Councilmember Wade. Any other additional questions, comments on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And that motion carries. That'll move us into the regular agenda items. First item is Agenda 8.1. 8.1 reads as follows. Mayor and City Council shall discuss and possibly take action on the creation of a teen court. Discussion and possible action. Councilmember Learman is going to lead this.
Good evening. Pinell County ran teen court here in Maricopa for 5 years, and they have made a decision to no longer run teen court here in Maricopa. And so my phone began to ring, and I started getting phone calls from citizens that were saying, we can't not have teen court in Maricopa, and what can we do about it? And so I started reaching out to different people, and then I got a call from local attorney Jeffrey Traversino, who moved to Maricopa recently and was involved in teen court in another state. And he said, how can I help? What can we do to make sure that our youth in Maricopa have the option of teen court? And I want to thank him and Angel Raymond, both local attorneys who have volunteered many hours of their own time to support this program. If you're here tonight and you are here to support teen court, if you could stand just so that we can acknowledge you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Rosie Kuzmic and Rod McIntyre have been with teen court since the very inception. So over 5 years they've been serving in teen court. And thank you, Bill Robertson mentioned earlier that our adult and youth volunteers have already been trained and are ready to serve. So I'm going to turn this over at this time to Angel Raymond and Jeffrey Traversino.
Thank you. So, before Jeffrey and I get started, Attorney Traversino and I get started with the boring stuff, we're gonna let you guys hear from the cute kids. These are our youth volunteers. They have dedicated hours to learning about teen court so that they're able to get started as soon as we're able. So we have Layla, and we have Eli, and we have Evelyn that are going to present tonight.
Can I just start? Yep. Okay. You may be asking yourselves, why are these admittedly awesome teenagers here today? And how can we help? Well, let's start with the first question. Why are we here? We, the Maricopa Teen Court Youth Volunteers, a group of local teens between the ages of 12 and 18, are here today to inform you, the Maricopa City Council members, that we want to volunteer our time to help our fellow teens and be the change we want to see in our community. We understand the importance of lifting each other up and supporting each other in the moments we are down. In the last school year, the beginning of this school year, over 40 Maricopa teenagers have been referred to the Pinell County Juvenile Delinquency Court for misdemeanor offenses which could have been handled with teen court eligible. You're probably asking yourselves, what the heck is teen court? Simply put, teen court is a diversion program. Instead of creating a permanent criminal record that will sometimes follow a teen into adulthood, teen court participants or respondents are given an opportunity to be sentenced by their peers.
as long as the respondent successfully completes the teen court consequences passed down from a jury of their peers, the respondent's offense record is permanently diverted and will not continue to haunt them. This is not something that can be accomplished with our current system. Allowing our youth to participate in teen court creates many opportunities. First, the respondent's criminal record is clean, which means they can apply for college without fear of rejection for a lapse of judgment when they were young. They will also be eligible for a larger number of financial aid programs and eligible to serve in the armed forces. Second, the respondents will be able to develop healthy relationships and bonds with the student resource officers, SROs, teen volunteers, and the community, which reduces recidivism. That means being a repeat offender, and promotes law-abiding behavior. Teen court has proven to be successful across the country, not just in Pinal County. The restorative jurisprudence method used in teen court includes the following consequence options: mandatory jury duty, apology letters, tutoring, essays, community service, behavioral treatment classes, and participation on the victim impact panel. The numbers clearly show that teen court participants are less likely to reoffend than those who go through the delinquency court process. As of today, Maricopa makes up more than 25% of Pinal County's juvenile delinquency defendants. These are teens that we could have helped. These are teens that we, the youth volunteers, want to help, and we want you to help them too. These teens matter to us. They should matter to you. They should matter to everyone in the city of Maricopa.
This leads us to the second question. How can you help us? Teen Court is 100% volunteer-based. We volunteer our time. The adults who assist and supervise us volunteer their time. We have already spent over 6 hours in training sessions, so we will be prepared to begin taking cases on January 1st, 2023. We, the youth volunteers, serve as judge, jury members, attorneys, and bailiffs, and court clerks. We are assisted by 2 Arizona licensed attorneys who are local here in Maricopa. We have both committed to volunteering their time and for providing direct supervision of the youth volunteers and ensuring compliance and jurisdictional and procedural requirements. That's fancy for us, making sure we say the right stuff, do the right things, and object to almost everything. Teen Court is endorsed by the Maricopa Police Department, the Student Resource Officers, the City Manager Rick Horst, City Councilwoman Amber Learman, Judge Lyle Riggs, Judge Pro Temp Jack Pritt, City Magistrate McCarville, City Prosecutor Murdoch Hallway, County Attorney Kent Volkmer, and the numerous adult community member volunteers. Due to Pinal County's decision to redirect their resources, we are asking that Maricopa Teen Court become a city-sponsored program. City sponsorships include the ability to utilize city space to hold teen court every Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., the ability to accept referrals from Maricopa Unified School District for truancy and other offenses that would otherwise receive out-of-school suspension, making organizational official for membership in the Arizona Teen Court Association and the National Court Association. This will create exposure for the city of Maricopa as being a city that is dedicated to supporting youth and reducing crime. Our final question tonight is, will you, Councilmember Learman, Councilmember Wade, Councilmember Marsh, Councilmember Gettle, Councilmember Manfredi, Councilmember Valletto, and Mayor Smith, please help us, the youth of Maricopa, and make Teen Court a reality?
And that's just a taste. They're going to do such amazing things. Their willingness to stand in front of you guys today and be here after only having 6 hours of practice is commendable, and I'm so happy to be a part of their journey. I don't know how to change the slides. Do we know which button I push? The green one. All right, I'm going to push the red button. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. So before I get started, I first want to thank you for your time and let you know that I appreciate from the bottom of my heart the opportunity to be here today and present Teen Court to you. I really have a special thank you for Councilmember Amber Learman and City Manager Rick Horst, who have made Teen Court a priority, and your work has gotten us here today. Teen Court is not a new concept. Teen Court has been around for decades. In fact, the city of Wilcox in Arizona has had a functioning teen court since 1996. That's pretty impressive. It says here, what is Teen Court? You heard from our youth volunteers, Teen Court is a diversion program. It's kind of a misnomer. We'll go to the next line. I pushed the green button.
That doesn't work.
Okay.
No, that's a point. There we go.
There you go.
Got it. Okay. So it's kind of a misnomer. Diversion, the way that I see it in court, is the prosecutor has to allow a defendant the opportunity to engage in certain classes, pay a fine, remain law-abiding, in order to have the offense dismissed. Now, when that happens, there's a record. We're trying to avoid these children having criminal records. Teen Court is more of a pre-diversion program. The prosecutor does not need to allow a juvenile to complete the sentence of consequences that's passed down by their peers that are sitting on a jury in exchange to have their record clean. Once a traffic ticket or complaint form is filed by a police officer, the record has been created. There is no way for us to uncreate that record. Alternatively, the police officer's report or investigative, it's an investigative report, is submitted to the city attorney, and the city attorney, if they decide that charges are appropriate, will file what's called a long form complaint. Again, now we have a record. This is something that juveniles have to put on college applications, and this could be something that prevents them from getting a position in a school or even some career opportunities if they were up in a competitive position against somebody who didn't have this record. For something sometimes as small as getting caught vaping in a bathroom, which, yes, that's not great, and we should not want our children doing that. But should that prevent them from wanting to go and be a doctor or a lawyer or something where there's a really strict character and fitness review board that they're going to have to pass? And these things do come back and haunt them. Additionally, if you have a criminal record, you may not be eligible for student aid. Financial services will not be available, well, potentially. The best way for these cases to proceed is directly from SRO referrals. SRO is Student Resource Officer. If the Student Resource Officer is in the school and they see a juvenile engaging in criminal or delinquent behavior, they can take a referral, so it's almost like a traffic ticket complaint, but it's a referral slip. Send that to us over at Teen Court. We have the juvenile and their parents come, they go through the process. If they're found, so in order to engage in Teen Court, the juvenile must first admit guilt. So we're not talking about guilt or innocence, we're talking about mitigation and sentencing. Now, if the juvenile is successful and they complete all of the consequences that are passed down to them, then the issue is resolved. There is no issue, there is no record, and there's nothing for them to later disclose. Additionally, this means that the city of Maricopa isn't paying attorneys to provide prosecutorial and defense services. When a juvenile engages in conduct which is criminal or delinquent, but they immediately admit guilt and they willingly participate in their teen court consequences, aren't we all in a better place? A courtroom is the ideal setting for teen court because it reflects the serious nature of the offense and forces the juvenile offender to appreciate the wrongfulness of their conduct. That being said, teen court can be done in other areas. The key is to create an atmosphere that fosters sincerity, compassion, respect, and support. We do that by how we dress, how we speak, and how we treat each other. We can do that anywhere. The adult volunteers, Jeffrey, myself, and there's a few others, we assist the youth volunteers without being overbearing or taking over. We are their support staff. The primary role of the adult volunteers is to do the administrative work, coordinate logistics, communicate with volunteers, SROs, and juvenile respondents. I'm going to pass the mic to Jeffrey Traversino.
So why teen court? Teen court keeps teens out of the criminal justice system. Once teens enter the justice system, the likelihood that they will reoffend goes up dramatically. If you look at the chart, in Arizona, the green is kids who is the ones who reoffended after going through teen court. The red is the ones who reoffend after going through the regular juvenile court process. So that's about 50% reduction in recidivism, which is kids who reoffend and go on to commit more crime, and then they become Mine and Angel's clients. As you can see, so in the past year, Pinal County's received over 359 referrals from across the entire county. Approximately 94 of those came from the city of Maricopa alone. Half of those would have been teen court eligible, but because there was no teen court this year, all of those went through the juvenile court process. All of them now have juvenile court records. So no juvenile court record is obviously the most important benefit of teen court. Juvenile records can follow a teen into adulthood, as Angel said, and interfere with many of their opportunities. Keeping them free of a record reduces the chance they reoffend, gives them community support so they're more likely to remain in school and choose better behavior. Early intervention is a key to discouraging criminal behavior. It also shows teens that authority is not completely out to punish them and can actually work to benefit them. But they aren't left off easy. They still face consequences for their actions. Instead of adults handing down the consequences, it's their peers, it's each other. The teen volunteers benefit significantly as well. They play a part in the process of building each other and their community. This has secondary effects in making the city safer, the schools a more productive environment. Teens like having license over their own destinies, and this allows them to have that opportunity. Some of the consequences, and I think one of the teen volunteers went through them pretty quickly. We have jury duty, which is it's mandatory. They have to do at least one, but no more than two, where the teens who offended have to come back to serve on the jury. Apology letters, tutoring, essays, community service, online classes. The classes consist of anger management. It has to do with whatever their offense was, but they include anger management, drug and alcohol awareness, alcohol education, bullying and cyber safety, theft, shoplifting, life skills, vaping, cannabis. The requirements for the volunteers are that they have to be between the ages of 12 and 18. They have to have a desire to join and make a difference in the community. They have to have a commitment to help others and understand confidentiality. All teens sign a confidentiality agreement as they enter into the program. So that they do not take what they're learning about private affairs of their peers with them back to school to gossip and spread rumor. They're all sworn to the secrecy to keep everything in there confidential so that other teens, when they have the choice whether they want to participate in teen court or not, don't fear that if they participate, other people are going to learn about their private information. As you can see, Sandra Day O'Connor had participated in the Teen Court Youth Summit in 2009. She was a huge proponent for teen court. Kent Volkmer, the county attorney, he's also a huge proponent of teen court, had said that the justice system does really well in some areas and falls short in others, and I think one of these areas that falls short in is the juvenile system. So in closing, why has Pinal County decided to forgo sponsoring teen court? we're kind of left in the dark about it, but mostly what we know is that they've decided to redirect their resources into other areas. Teen court requires supervision, guidance, and community involvement, and it requires time. Up until now, Pinal County employees have been the driving force behind teen court, but now it's our turn as the city of Maricopa to take the lead on teen court and make it ours as a city. And getting to probably the most important part of the entire presentation is the cost that this will bear onto the city, as the city manager has taken from the coffers. Teen court will take absolutely zero money because it's completely volunteer-based. Our referrals come from the SROs, they come from the schools, so we don't have the infrastructure of having to build something new. It's already there. The SROs are already in the schools. And all the adults are volunteers, the students are volunteers. There is no cost to the city. So we encourage you guys to vote yes to establish the teen court, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. So I do have one speaker card on this item, Rosemary Kuzmic. And if you would stay up for any questions, please. Thanks.
Rosie Kuzmic, Maricopa resident, teen court volunteer since its inception. Everything they said is so true. I mean, it's just, I feel like I'm speaking to the choir with them here in the room, obviously. I'm going to give you a little bit of history. Back when Lyle Riggs was first running for Justice of the Peace, I interviewed Lyle, actually. I sat and we interviewed. And I wanted to get his feelings on teens and teen court. So he assured me that was a top priority for him. He was really interested in a teen court program. I have a history with juvenile court. I'm a 30-year employee of a court system back in Pennsylvania. The last 7 years, I was the assistant administrator of that juvenile court. So I'm familiar with teenagers. I'm familiar with recidivism. I'm familiar with all different kinds of interventions. Teen court is a viable intervention. Teen court will definitely reduce recidivism. What we know about kids is the earlier the intervention and the more intense the intervention, the less likely it is that they're going to go on to commit further offenses as they grow and mature. So teen court really it hits all of those. It answers all of those questions. It does all that it says it's going to do. But then Lyle called me at one point and he said, Rosie, we're going to form a teen court. I want you. So I was involved in the implementation of that, the planning and the implementation. I volunteered actively every week for about the first 15 months. Then I trained my predecessor because I just didn't want to do it every single week, every single Thursday, forever and ever and ever. So I've trained the next person to come on board, but I stayed involved in terms of training. I'm a trainer. I love to train. These kids really, what teen court does, it makes more of an impact on these kids than a court system ever could do. And to see them grow and mature and learn from their mistakes and become better people because of that is important. When Pinal County opted out, Lyle again reached out to me, and one of the things I said to him was, well, we're like all really willing to do this, but we need an umbrella, especially when you're working with kids. You can't just go out there and say, hey, I'm a volunteer, but knowing that if something happens, you need the county or the city umbrella to cover you for those kinds of issues. Nothing ever happened, I will tell you that, when I was volunteering with the, actually I was a police volunteer at the time, and there were times when kids needed rides, and the county wasn't allowed to drive them. So because I was a police volunteer, I was able to do that, and things like that come up. So we need that umbrella for the adult volunteers to be able to be involved and to function. And I just really hope we get this program off the ground. I hope we get to see it happen here in our city. I want to volunteer for this program, but I'm not going to do it if there's no umbrella to cover me if something happens. So thank you, and I hope to be able to volunteer with this program again. Thank you.
Thank you. City Council members, what questions, concerns? Councilmember Wade.
Where are you going to hold court?
Right now, teen court's held at the county courthouse, but because the city plans to no longer utilize that space. I believe that we're allowed to be there for now. I'm not, that kind of is up in the air, whether we would come over here to City Hall, whether we would go into the high schools, or whether we would stay, whether the county, I think it really is up to Lyle Riggs.
And I can touch base on that. Judge Riggs was going to be here tonight. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. But he, as Rosie said, is committed to teen court. And I don't see any reason for us to not be able to utilize that space. However, Mr. Traversino is correct. We can give us the space, we'll make it work. You know, ultimately, we've already had 50 kids from the city of Maricopa end up having to go to Florence. That's a really difficult trip for adults to make, let alone children with parents that work. So the chances of them being successful are just lower. So we can do it anywhere.
Thank you. Anyone else? Member Vidiello.
Yeah, so what determines the level of an offense that they go either to teen court or to a regular court?
Absolutely, yes. So there are parameters. If there's a victim, if it was a violent offense, that would not be something that we would handle at teen court. Absolutely, we would take into consideration at the end of the day, it's the SRO, the Maricopa Police Department officer that has the discretion. If they feel after completing their investigation that teen court is an appropriate option, then they would then make that referral.
Councilmember Lehrman?
I also wanted to just recognize that Be Awesome Youth Coalition has agreed to partner with us and provide classes for families if the jury decides that that's an appropriate consequence. So we're really excited about their partnership as well. And then I just wanted to mention that if a teen is referred to teen court and they do not complete their consequence, they will be given 2 times to complete it, and if they don't, then they will be referred back to the police department, and it will go through, juvenile court.
And the SROs they're the biggest fans. They love teen court, and they are absolutely heartbroken that they're not able to utilize this option for these kiddos that they see every day. And as Councilmember Lehrman mentioned, being able to work with Be Awesome Youth Coalition is a really amazing opportunity, because a lot of times these kiddos are going through other things. We don't know what other issues are happening behind the scenes. So having more resources available and community partnership to identify those needs, we're just going to be able to be in a much better position to set these kids on the right path.
Thank you. Council members on my right, any questions, concerns? Vice Mayor? All right. Oh, one more from Councilmember Wade.
All right, just thinking about some resources for you. May retail to the Maricopa Youth Council. There's a number of young people there too that are very motivated about serving the community. So I would make that recommendation that you.
Absolutely. Jeffrey and I will commit more hours. We will do all the training that it takes to get these kids feeling confident and ready to take cases. We need the kids.
Okay, so.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
May I?
Yes.
First, a question. You indicated that you would like support from our SROs and our prosecutors to help in the process, meaning referrals. Can you explain what a referral is, and is there something beyond just referring them, or is there other involvement that you would like to see from these people?
So I believe that when the SRO brings a kid in who's has done something, they're vaping in school, they got in a fight, they're truant, whatever it is, they have.
If I may.
Yeah.
Because teen court is not a new, it's not a new program. The SROs already have the referral forms. It's something that the Maricopa Police Department has already been utilizing.
I understand the referral part. I'm just asking, once they refer it to you, is there any additional involvement
Absolutely
expected?
not. No, not unless if the juvenile respondent is not successful, then what would happen is either myself or Mr. Traversino would let that SRO know. The SRO would speak to them, possibly speak to their families, see if there's some sort of service we could implement. Maybe they just can't get transportation. We would give that kiddo another opportunity to succeed. And then in the event that they can't, or they just don't show up, then the SRO would submit that ticket. And at that point, then the city attorney would then prosecute the case, or the county attorney, depending on jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
Though, just to follow up, the city, sometimes these cases will slip through and get to the city attorney or the prosecutor, and that the prosecutor, from our understanding, will also have the option, if they see like somehow this kid has slipped through, either it was not from, is a referral not from the SRO, it's from a law enforcement officer out on the street, or some other way that the kid is getting sent off to the court, they have the option to then divert them. It's not optimal because now they have a referral record, but they're at least getting diverted instead of proceeding through the court process.
Thank you. And counsel, if you ultimately decide to proceed, I think we would like to identify some policy processes so that we're all on the same page. In your slides, I saw two slides. One said that you service the community between 7 and 18, and another one you said between 12 and 17.
I think that was a...
Which group is it?
It's 12 to 18.
12 to 18.
I think that was just a...
No.
Oh.
Sorry. So 12 to 18 is the age requirement for the youth volunteers to work as in the court process. Okay. For truancy cases, we could have younger kids that are maybe found to be juvenile delinquent, wherein the teen court process would still work 100%.
And that would be 8 to 17.
Absolutely,
Because
unless
when
of
they're
course
18, they wouldn't qualify. They're an adult. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then from just what I heard from the presentation, you ultimately will need space, and you're asking for the umbrella coverage insurance in essence, right?
So ideally, as being a city-sponsored program, what I would envision, being an attorney and always seeing liability everywhere, as we are trained, I would like to have something in place wherein we have parameters for our volunteers, things such as driving youth home in your personal vehicle. I don't want to see that happen. That's why we don't have an anticipated start date until January, so it gives us time to put these procedures into place, possibly do volunteer training, background checks if it's required. We want to definitely get those things in place.
Okay, thank you. And for the council, we do have our own policies regarding those type of things. We would probably want to have some kind of background checks for some of our people involved. I don't know to what degree. I think we'd like the opportunity to talk to our risk people, our risk insurance companies, just to make sure we understand everything. And we put that, I assume we will have some kind of MOU, some kind of understanding agreement that would document all this. And certainly we'd like to engage our police department, our risk people, our legal team, and perhaps our new city magistrate. And the council can do what you like, but I would like maybe the opportunity to do this and come back with those findings in 2 weeks when you meet again, and just make sure that we have done our full due diligence. It's not that I think there's an issue or a concern, but we just want to make sure we go through all the proper channels and policies that we have in place.
Thank you, City Manager.
Does that include location?
I think in the interim, we are going to have to figure out a temporary location until our new facility is built. I think once the new facility is built, I'm not sure that would be an issue. Here, we actually have policies that was adopted by the council on this room, and one of those policies say that you can't have a repetitious every on and on again type thing. Council can certainly review that if you so choose, but if you change it for one, you're changing it for everyone.
Yep.
But that's something you might want to consider as well.
I was recently informed that the new high school has a really awesome community room.
It's coming.
That we might be able to utilize in the future.
Well, thank you, City Manager Horst. So you went through all my notes. I'll just touch on the things that led me to be concerned, except for the fact that you do have with you admittedly awesome teenagers. And I love the fact that they're here presenting and sharing their passion for this. I love the fact that you're here sharing your passion, and the same for Councilmember Lehrman and our guest speaker as well. I think it sounds really, really valuable, and I want to give teenagers every opportunity possible. However, I would like to proceed with a motion to table this to allow time, because there is cost involved. I love that you say there's no cost involved, but there is cost involved. It comes in the form of liability, it comes in the form of space, it comes in the form of, does it really apply more responsibility to our SROs, to our prosecutors? And so I think we need to look at that. We also have a new judge coming, so I'd like to have you engage with that new judge, as you spoke of as well. So just looking at the legality of it. And then one thing that I thought about that I think in working through this process over the next couple of weeks is, what happens if all of your volunteers, all of you disappear? Like, you get tired of being the ones that are there every week or every month or what. So we need a concept of how that's going to continue so that it doesn't fall on the city. That's one big issue for me as well. So I don't have any problem continuing to pursue the discussion and coming up with some of these details so that we all understand what those costs are. But at this point, I would like to make a motion to table this conversation. Would I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any additional questions or comments from the City Council? Seeing none, all in favor to table, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so we'll be back in a couple weeks.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, that'll move us to Agenda 8.2. 8.2 reads as follows. The mayor and city council shall hear a presentation regarding roadside memorial markers. This is for discussion only, and we're being presented this by Code Enforcement Wes Moss.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I am Wes Moss. I'm with the City of Maricopa Code Enforcement, and I'm a supervisor there. And I would like to take you through this presentation. Roadside memorials. They're throughout the city. This is going to be a presentation on roadside memorial marker programs and the purpose. Provide residents a safe and respectful means to remember their loved ones. Roadside memorial application process is going to be short, one-page application available on the city website. Must be submitted to the Traffic Operations Division. Markers will be standardized design and size, installed by the Traffic Operations Division. Placed in a safe location at or near the location of the incident, and markers will remain in place for 1 year unless earlier removal is necessary due to construction activities. Roadside memorial costs and design. The cost of the application will be $300. That will cover construction, installation, and maintenance of the markers. The markers will be 15 inches in diameter, aluminum signs, installed at an approximate height of 36 to 42 inches from ground to the top of the markers. The roadside memorials may not look exactly as pictured, but will be similar. Memorial markers that are placed not in compliance or not with that application. Any memorial markers installed without an approval and out of compliance will be allowed to stand for no more than 21 days. If the markers are identified as hazardous in any way, they will be removed immediately. City staff will make an effort to contact all parties involved and to return the markers that were placed along the roadway. And
Council, if I can just add a little bit. We want to be respectful of those who may have passed in a road incident or a road-related incident. But at the same time, some of these markers are now encroaching upon right-of-ways. Some of them are impairing line of sight. Some of them are actually in utility easements where construction work is done routinely, not just when you would build something. In some cases, they are now putting in lights and they're distracting at night. And the Uniform Traffic Code, which governs right-of-ways and those type of things, in essence, if someone is able to successfully claim that they were distracted by, and it's not just this, it could be other things, but in this case we're talking about memorial-type markers, that the city could be liable. And that liability is if we know there's a potential hazard and don't react to it. So our goal here is to provide an opportunity for those who wish to have a long-lasting memorial for an individual or someone to present a uniform way in which that can be done. The marker you saw said drive safely. It could be personalized a little bit more than that. It can talk about wear your seatbelt, look before you cross the road, whatever the family or that wants to do that. And again, the 300 may seem a little bit high at first, but it's not. Remember, this is something that we will be perpetually maintaining perpetually. It's not something that's a one-time thing. So we will be cutting weeds around it and picking up the trash and all those type of things, but also keep in mind those markers are in the way of some of our sweepers and other equipment, so we have to work around them and do those type of things. So our goal tonight was just to present this. Many of them in town are actually in the way of construction growth. They have to be removed. Some of them in town were placed many months, years ago, and have been long forgotten. Others have been placed years ago but have not been forgotten, and it's obvious that people still attend to those from time to time. So it's a way of bringing a unified, respectful way to recognize and remember those, but do it in a way that protects both them and the citizenry, meaning the city. And we're not looking for any action tonight. We're just looking for general consensus, and then we can come back with broader details if you'd like.
Thank you. Council, questions, concerns? Yes, Councilman Gettle.
A lot of these memorial markers are made to be individualized to that individual. Having a simple design of a round placard seems to be a little bit missing the mark, if I can say it that way. Would there be some consideration in working with the family to maybe design something within some parameters that might be a little bit more individualized to that individual and the incident being remembered?
The short answer would be yes, but with understanding that there's limitations. They can't be but a certain size, so they don't block line of sights. They can't be in certain locations. If they want the picture of the person full color, they are going to fade over time. And we have to be consistent. And frankly, if they want something that's beyond, there may be additional costs.
Very good. My second question then with that, you mentioned that this could be a perpetual marker. Rights of way do change, as we know. Construction is one of the current problems. What are looking forward if we do need to move a marker that has perpetual status? So what do we do with that?
Well, as indicated in one of the slides, that if it became either a proven hazard or construction, whether that may be, it's not always roads, it's water, sewer lines, whatever may go in, that we would then alert the family that it would need to be moved, and they have the option to relocate it or just remove it.
Let's continue.
Now, admittedly, our intent will have the record of who made the application, and that's who we'd reach out to, but if years go by, sometimes families leave, they no longer live here, and if we can't find that person, then we'll just have to make a decision.
Thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Marsh.
I'm a little bit confused. I thought I saw one of the slides say that the $300 fee got you a marker for 1 year. Is it perpetual or is it 1 year?
Well, I think you're right. My apologies. I think the intent was for 1 year. That is what the slide, but frankly, that's at the discretion of the council. We do find that and I apologize, that was my mistake, that the longer they're there, they're the ones that are forgotten and they lose significance. But certainly we're open to whatever direction the council would like to give, and be happy to proceed in that fashion.
I would encourage you to consider 5 years as an alternative.
Anyone else? He said he would like to have them consider 5 years instead of perpetual and instead of 1 year, 5 years. Would anyone else like to speak, concerns, questions? Councilmember Lehrman.
It sounds like this is something we can continue to talk about, but I know the first year anniversary is oftentimes very significant for family and loved ones. And so I agree with Councilmember Marsh that I think 1 year is probably a little short in time. So definitely maybe 2 or 3 years or longer to consider to honor that family's loved one.
Thank you. Anyone else? Vice Mayor?
Mayor and Council,
Yes.
the reason we put it on the agenda tonight but did not request action is because we wanted to introduce it to the public as well.
Sure.
And we wouldn't, I'm sure our press will pick up on it. And we invite the public to reach out to Wes Moss or my office or any of us for their input that we can then bring back to you with any final recommendations.
Very good. Thank you for that direction. I think the public will appreciate the opportunity to provide input. Okay, that ends that particular discussion. Thank you very much. And I understand you're up for the next one as well, item 8.3. That is, the mayor and council shall hear a presentation regarding temporary sign code amendments for discussion only.
Mayor and Council, this is a presentation on temporary sign and enforcement. The current sign code has an intent. The intent of these provisions is to maximize establishment identifications, minimize visual clutter, and to maintain a high quality of signs throughout the city. Due to some recent changes to case law, specifically Supreme Court Reed versus Town of Gilbert, this makes it unlawful to regulate signage based on the content of the sign. This essentially makes jurisdictions address signs such as garage sale signs, open house signs, and church signs the same. Due to this, sign code has been drafted to regulate signage based on zoning districts and not the content. Recent changes due to case law, with these images above. With current case law, all of the above signs are treated the same. We cannot regulate one different from the other. This can include signs that some might find offensive or conflict with their views. Sign clutter. Code enforcement removes anywhere from 75 to 175 signs per week. This includes advertising signs for services, garage sale signs, open house signs, and directional signs. And here are some quick examples.
And council, while he's flipping through those, note that some of the signs are actually in the street. Some of them are blocking ADA access on sidewalks. Others are taped to stop signs, which detracts the people from the stop sign. Some of them are taped to utility boxes and streetlights, which in most cases, and our real estate people are not one of those. They do a good job removing theirs because they have expensive signs, but in most cases, those signs are never removed. They end up in the ditches, they end up in the storm drains, they leave the tape residue and staples in the poles and all those type of things. So those are issues as well. So with that, please continue.
Similar to other cities, enforcement based on zoning, size, and location, some do's and don'ts. They cannot be located, it can't be in a location that is hazardous to the public safety, obstructs clear vision in the area, interferes with the requirements of Americans with Disabilities Act, and can't be judged based on content. They can regulate size and the number of signage, and can require a permit or require the lack of one. Some of the hurdles with enforcement is going to be unable to identify differences between types of signs, types of temporary signs. Use of public rights-of-way for personal and or commercial use, and identifying rights-of-way throughout the city. Staff recommendation, staff recommends holding a work session to discuss acceptable regulations and revisions to temporary sign code. This will assist with clarity on the sign placement and determine desirable setbacks from public right-of-ways.
So, Council, in regard to the Supreme Court case law, we cannot allow signs in the right-of-ways at all unless you allow any and all signs. And you can't say, well, we're mostly a good community, so we won't get some of those offensive and other signs, but we already get complaints about vehicles and other things that people find offensive that we can't regulate. And the permit process seems like a good answer, except they're going to say, where can I put the signs? And our right-of-ways are not the same. Going up and down Maricopa Casa Grande, the right-of-way goes from 60 feet to 360 feet in various locations, and it just, it's like a zipper, jags in and out. So our thought was to provide some definitive descriptions about maybe it's in a right-of-way, but it's set back sufficiently to avoid the hazards in line of sight. So we want to talk about that with you in the workshop. We want to find out whether it's an all or nothing in the right-of-ways with those exceptions. And then, of course, we want to talk about what HOAs can and can't do, which could be different, and each HOA could be different. We want to talk about the difference between commercial-based signs and residential signs. And again, these are all temporary signs. Permanent signs are addressed through other parts of the code. And lastly, we want to simplify this because when you go to the code, 80–90% of it is the permanent signs, which is very complicated. And you can read here, oh, that's okay. And then the next sentence it says it's not. And then the next sentence says it is because it's all in or out of context. So our feeling was that this is such a difficult topic to try to do it in a session like this would be difficult, and that we probably should have a work session so we can give the time and you can hear from the public themselves to make decisions of what they're. We will make some recommendations on some areas that we think can bring some relief, but in other areas, I think we're going to be hard pressed. For instance, you just can't do it in the right of way. The only exception to that is the law governing political signs. I want to be very clear, that's not a discussion or a discretion of this council. That's the state that made those decisions, and this council or any other local body doesn't get to make that decision. Their only say in the matter is who they vote for, I suppose, when they go to vote. So if you have issues with that, take it up with your state officials. So we would like to maybe, not tonight, but have the clerk's office reach out to you to find a time that works with your schedules, and then we would advertise it, notice it to the public sufficiently, and convene and hold that meeting if that's okay with the council.
Thank you. That sounds like a great idea. Council, any questions, concerns? Yes, Councilmember Marsh.
I volunteer with my HOA, and I'm responsible for putting the yard sale signs out. So I'm going to need to be on your workshop so I can learn where to put those signs. Also, if I decide to run again in 2023, I need to vote for Bob's signs.
I can't work on the political sides.
Councilmember Wade.
We've actually been wrestling with this for a little while, so I'm hopeful that we can move fairly quickly on this group to come together and decide on something to do so that we can move on with the subject.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade. And I failed to mention that we did have a task force that the mayor set up, and particularly with Vice Mayor and our two council members, and they did hold a session with staff. They held a session with members of the public representing many of the people that use these type of signs. And the invitation was given to the public to provide recommendations and thoughts. To date, I'm not aware of any that's come forward. I am aware of a couple of recommendations that came from our elected officials, which we will talk about at the work session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor and
Appreciate that
Council.
discussion. That brings us to the end of the agenda, and we are adjourned.
Mia slipped out a back door and fell into the pool.
She basically drowned. My husband had to pull her out of the pool and administered CPR.